Hey guys, and welcome to today's video. And today's video is about topical finasteride because it has been a question I've been getting in below my videos, so I decided to make a longer video about topical finasteride. Is it a valid option for someone who has a hair loss progression? Can it help to thicken up the hair? And I also will talk about different formulations that are available in the marketplace. And additionally, I will talk about if it is something that one can consider if one is having, for example, side effects from oral finasteride or is concerned about side effects, potential ways to apply it to get best results possible from topical application of finasteride. So let's dive into it. And before I start, I want to show you a case study of someone in the program who actually did use topical finasteride on his scalp, so you can see what results he was able to achieve. And here is someone in the program who did apply topical finasteride on his scalp, and here are his before and after photos, and you can see he was able to have very good improvement in terms of his hair situation. That being said, before he reached out to me and joined the Rapid program, he already had tried component pharmacy treatments, he had tried component minoxidil, also topical dutasteride, and different other approaches, but nothing was working for him until he addressed the online problems he was having, which was preventing topicals to work for his scalp environment. So he had issues with microinflammatory problems, he also had dermatitis, and he was very sensitive to different foods that was causing a problem for him. And we addressed those issues, and he was able to have very nice recovery in terms of the hair situation. And if you zoom it in a bit, you can see how nicely he was able to improve his hair situation from before what was according there, and he was also able to reduce his daily shed from 100 hairs plus a day to less than 10 hairs a day, right? And if you look at density, you can see, for example, in this picture here, which is more like open his mid scalp, you can see how nicely he was able to fill in that area compared to what was according before in his before situation. So topical finasteride can definitely work, but remember that there is more to the hair loss than just DHT angle, right? So this is important to always keep in mind. So let's take a look at different formulations of finasteride. I will start with Xyon, and Xyon, it is a brand that I did review a couple of weeks ago about shampoos. So if you haven't watched that video, definitely check it out as well. But today it's about topical finasterides they are offering. And this formulation is different compared to other types of formulations that is more alcohol based, because this one here is having like a silicone system, gel delivery system. And according to Xyon, according to their website, it is something that has less risk to cause side effects, right? So basically this kind of gel, what happens is that it is applied on the scalp and it stays locally on the scalp itself without going into the bloodstream, according to Xyon, right? So they have done their studies, and according to them, this is less likely to cause side effects. That being said, this gel is quite pricey, right? It is almost 100 USD for 3 months. And additionally, it is something that contains a lot of finasteride, right? So it has a 2.5% finasteride in each ml. And if you look at, for example, calculation, how much finasteride it is, we can clearly see that it does contain a lot of finasteride, right? So it has 25 mg of finasteride in each ml when applied of this gel. So this is quite high compared to any other brands that is making topical finasteride, right? So this is something to be aware of. And when it comes to other brands, for example, more like ethanol-based or alcohol-based formulations, such as, for example, Happy Heads, they do have a finasteride at 0.3%, which is equal to 3 mg in each ml, right? So this is much lower, and it is still high on the list compared to other type of formulations. So, for example, Hims has also topical finasteride, like it's a formulation with minoxidil as well, but it has also 0.3% of finasteride, which is 3 mg. Then we have Xyon, which is a brand that has been around for a couple of years now, from Minoxidil Max, and they have a topical finasteride at 2 mg in each ml, right? So this solution here, and they actually are suggesting to use it as 0.5 ml applied on the scalp, and this bottle will be lost for 4 months. So that is Minoxidil Max, and then we also have, for example, Sans. It's more like a United Kingdom formulation, and it has 1.5 mg in each ml, right? And then, of course, there is more like a component pharmacy formulations that are tricosol based. For example, this one here, finasteride 0.1, and this one has 1 mg in each ml when applied on the scalp. And when it comes to this formulation here, like it is a formulation that has most finasteride in it. And again, that may not necessarily be a problem if it is applied locally on the scalp itself, right? So that's again is okay, as long as it doesn't absorb into the bloodstream, because that could potentially be issue. And one concern I would have with this amount of finasteride is that if, for example, one does a microneedling and doesn't space it out then it can potentially cause more absorption of this kind of formulation, right? So if you are doing mic needling, let's say for example you apply minoxidil as well, then remember to space it out very well before you apply topical finasteride that has, for example, that much of finasteride content in it, right? Such as Xyon. Another potential issue with this type of formulations that I could foresee is that it may have a shorter lifespan compared to other formulations that is alcohol-based. And the reason for I think it could be the case with this one here from Xyon is that it does have delivery every 3 months, right? So every 3 months it gets delivered. It's kind of prescription service. And for example, if you look at formulations such as triclazole-based, like triclazole-based formulations are well known to have a problem if they are used longer than lifespan of the formulation. And this type of formulation also has around 3 months, like a 3 months expiry date. Right? So it doesn't stay fresh after 3 months. And from the guys who I have worked with in the program who have used triclazole formulations, what has happened if they have used past it or applied past expiring date, what has happened is that it has caused issues for the scalp, and it also caused more shedding, right? So the formulation started to change the color, it started to have a strange smell to it. So that potentially could be a possible issue with this formulation as well, right? So again, I don't use it and I'm not able to buy it in my location because this formulation of Xyon is only available in the United States and Canada, right? So that it's not available in EU. But it is something that one needs to consider, right? So make sure that you don't use it longer that possible potential expiry date. Like, so if you are going to use it, then you have to continue to renew that formulation every 3 months as they are suggesting it, right? So that's another thing that one needs to be aware of. And additionally, like if someone is, for example, concerned about side effects. So if you are concerned about side effects, you have side effects from oral type of finasteride, then you could potentially be someone who also may be concerned about topical finasteride, which is totally understandable, right? Because again, even if you apply topically, it still has always a risk of having an absorption effect, right? So especially those formulations that is alcohol-based, they do have an effective absorption. May not necessarily be a problem, but if you, for example, are very sensitive to blocking DHCs, then it can still be an issue. And the other thing is that those formulations, they also contain different amounts of finasteride, right? So this is also something to be aware of. And additionally, like if you are someone who is very concerned about using topical formulation of finasterides, then one option would be that you just try to apply it on the local areas where you have a thinning, right? So not do a full application, but just apply it in the specific areas, or for example, apply it less frequently, right? For example, instead of doing it daily, maybe do it every other day. That could potentially be a way to work around it. So that's my take on those formulations. But silicone-based gel and also triclazole often is recommended and suggested for someone who has like a more like a sensitive skin and is not able to apply, for example, alcohol-based formulation. So in that kind of scenario, those formulations potentially could be more scalp friendly compared to other ones if you're not able to take finasteride in oral form. And remember, the finasteride in oral form is much cheaper compared to this one here, for example. And additionally, I also want to mention that Happy had multiple other formulations of finasteride, and they do have formulations that is kind of similar to this one here as well, similar to Xyon, which has less of finasteride in it. So if you take a look at the Happy had again, like they have something that's called liposomal gel, this one here. And it is also something quite similar to Xyon, but it has a much less of finasteride in it, right? So you can see that it has 0.3, which is also 3 mg of finasteride in it. So, and this could potentially also be something one can look into if one wants to have a more scalp-friendly formulation. Some of you may wonder, why not just take a finasteride pill and crush it and make your own topical finasteride? But the thing is that it's not that simple, right? Because finasteride pill, it contains coating, it has the fillers in it, and it can affect delivery system, and also carriers you use to actually get it absorbed in the skin tissue may not work effectively with your component formulation, right? So I don't suggest doing it. And also additionally, for example, what can happen is that first of all, that finasteride may not absorb into the skin tissue, and it just will stay on your scalp as like a whitish layer. And I have spoken with the guys who actually have experienced it. And if you are going to do topical finasteride applications, then I suggest doing it by having a formulation that was already made from either pharmacy, component pharmacy, or one of the formulations that I just showed during this presentation. Remember guys, the finasteride part is just one of the angle, right? So there is multiple things that can affect the hair situation, like multiple things that can cause hair loss, and if you just focus on the DHT angle, it's not sufficient, right? So if you want to have best results possible, you also have to work on your DHT sensitivity, your hair growth cycle. You also have to work on underlying problems, underlying factors on the scalp itself, because if your scalp is not in good state, even if you are using a gentle formulation of finasteride, you are still not going to be able to get full potential of that formulation, right? So for example, in my case, there has been times when I have had underlying problems and I have taken finasteride internally, but it didn't work for me because those underlying problems caused other issues and weaken my follicles. If you need help and guidance for this problem, you can always book a session below this video. We can speak, we can find out what is holding you back and what steps you can implement right now to get results from this treatment. Thanks for watching this video guys.